This is Phantology.
You may have heard of us.
Welcome, Cosmere Arcanus, however you say it. I'm I'm Josh. I am joined by my lifelong friend Jake, and we are going to give you a little what you should read before reading The Lost Metal, which is the fourth book in the Wax and Wayne Mistborn Era 2 trilogy. We're going to try and keep this spoiler free. We're not going to talk about like books plot spoilers or anything, but we are going to mention books that you should have read before you read this book. So if you're like deep in the lore and we say you should read blank book, then you might be able to piece together, oh, that might mean that this theory is confirmed, or this theory has more evidence for it now. So that's kind of your spoiler warning. Do you want to add anything to that, Jake?
Yeah, we're not going to get into any plot specifics, but this is probably one of the most like Cosmere connected books I've read out of Brandon's works. So I just by mentioning what books would be important to read, there's like inherent information there. So if you want to just go in completely blind, stop now, skip this, and
We'll also keep it as spoiler free as we can for his other works. We won't like reveal identities. We might use like names, but we won't say who those names are. I'm thinking of one in particular, but we'll just try and keep it spoiler free for most of like his other books. But again, just be warned, like we're deep in Cosmere stuff, so if there's stuff if you're very, very spoiler sensitive, this might not be the episode for you. However, if you want to go in completely prepared and be able to get like every reference that could be made, well, I'm sure we missed references too, but if you want to try and get like everything that you can get, then we're trying to get you an outline so that you can do that, because there's some works in here that like you may not have read that you might want to.
I guess going off of that, getting started, there's probably like different sections for the what you should read. There's going to be some must reads, some probably, I guess, and then some that is like this. I feel like there are going to be some on this list that it wouldn't be too bad if you read these after reading The Lost Metal, but it would enhance your Lost Metal experience to read them first. But either way, whether you read it first or The Lost Metal first, you're still going to come away with nothing really spoiled and all the information there. But yeah. So let's start with
I guess to cover all of our bases, just the entire Cosmere, like maybe, but be a little bit more specific than that in case you don't want to go 2 years of reading. We'll try and break it down. So let's start off with the must reads, I guess, first, right?
Must reads. And the obvious ones here are the rest of Era 2 of Mistborn, right? So Alloy of Law, Shadow of Self, Bands of Mourning, and and probably in that same category would be Era 1 of Mistborn, right? Like, I don't know. I guess it's not as much of a must read. If you have gotten by in the Wax and Wayne series thus far without having read Era 1, it's not going to be that different than the other books in terms of like context, but definitely read Era 1. What are you doing? I don't think there's anyone out there who's like in that situation.
Maybe somebody that just like was at a used bookshop and just saw like, oh, that looks like a cool cover. Who's this Brandon Sanderson fellow? I saw his name pop up on the fantasy subreddit. I mean, maybe, but yeah, for sure. And in that same category, although maybe less important, is Secret History, Mistborn Secret History.
I think that is less important. I think that would be one where you could read it after and it gives about it the same like pretty similar experience, but again, it's just, do you want the information going into the Lost Metal or do you want the information after? But
but that is, I would agree, the top tier of things is like everything that's been released in the Mistborn world. Maybe not like the Elementor Jack short story, like, but all the
I haven't read that.
all the main published I think I did actually at one point, but
Yeah.
all the main published material in Mistborn would be, I would say, bordering on mandatory to read before this. But
Yeah. Um, yeah. Okay. So should we just, I don't know. We've already warned you with spoilers. I don't know why I'm hesitant. I think the next
just
one,
last one is just, we might be theories. You might have some theories maybe confirmed if you
Yeah.
keep listening. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. What would you say is more important, White Sand or Emperor's Soul?
Okay. Good question. I'm going to say, oh, this is hard. So one, because I've only read the volume 1 of White Sand. I haven't read all the volumes of White Sand, so I don't exactly know the events that take place in there, but having some knowledge of White Sand is probably going to be helpful in the book.
Yeah, I'm in that same position. I only read the first volume. Was a little put off by the graphic novel medium. I think mainly just because it was so frustrating to get such little amount of story.
Yeah.
And like, you know what I mean? Like
such a high page count and such a little amount of story.
Yeah, exactly. But so yeah, I did find myself wishing like, man, I wish I remembered more from White Sand and knew more from White Sand as I was reading this. So
and I came out really wanting to read White Sand. I came out of this book really wanting to read it.
Yeah. I think Emperor's Soul is kind of similar to Secret History in that you could read Emperor's Soul directly after this, and as long as like the events of the Lost Metal are fresh in your mind, it's going to be a good experience. I read Emperor's Soul first, and I think I prefer that, but it could be just because that's how I experienced it.
I think that reading this might almost hurt your enjoyment of Emperor's Soul more than like, you know what I mean? I think Emperor's Soul is one of Brandon's best works.
It's really good.
It's really good. And so I'm just hesitant to like adjust the reading order of that. Like, so I'd say read Emperor's Soul first if you get a chance. It's such a short book and it's really, really well written. It won the Hugo Award. Was that it? Or the Nebula? One of the big science fiction. Yeah. So I'd say go ahead and read that one because it's great, and two, because it is going to be, fairly important in your enjoyment of this book.
And again, it's not like if you haven't read it, it's not going to mess anything up. I think it is more along the lines of you're going to want to have read Emperor's Soul to get like bigger picture details filled in, and it would be better to read it first. But
yeah. So if you have a weekend, even just a night, I think it's like 70 pages or something. It's like a one sitting read. I think I read it like during a long lecture series class at when I was in school. I just like read it during a 3-hour lecture or something.
Yeah.
It shows how much I got out of it. But yeah.
It's pretty good.
Along with that,
I want to say so much.
Okay. It isn't, Emperor's Soul is in the same world as Elantris. Mm-hmm. So like reading Elantris would help with some things, although less important than Emperor's Soul.
I don't think Elantris is really
just with magic system type things.
Elantris, I guess it's kind of a chain effect. Like if you've only read Emperor's Soul but not Elantris, then that could be an issue. I guess I'm going through the supposition that anyone who's read Emperor's Soul would have read Elantris.
But I would say you can read Emperor's Soul without reading Elantris and still get like a lot out of it.
Yeah, but you will miss out a little bit from the Lost Metal. I think you're right. I
think I actually read Emperor's Soul first, and then that's what made me want to read Elantris. Maybe really? Not. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Other big series Brandon Sanderson is probably at this point, I don't know what he's more famous for. I think Mistborn still, but Stormlight Archive. This one is more, I feel like if you're Cosmere hungry and you're the type of person who just wants to look up all the little bits of Cosmere connection, I think the Stormlight Archive could be good for that.
Yeah, I would say that this is going to pay off things that happen in Rhythm of, like in the Stormlight archive. This is starting to pay off some of those things where versus like
I don't know. I didn't really get a payoff sense.
uh we can talk. But there's some things
There's
that,
connections
there's
between
connections.
for sure. There's like I said,
There's
this is the most Cosmere connective story
I
I've
think that
read.
there's more than I think that there's answers to some of the questions posited.
Are there?
I think
Maybe
so.
I'm not.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm not
for
as
sure.
familiar with all the questions. Um,
I mean, here, let me just message you real fast.
no,
Does the chat show up in here?
it shouldn't show up, but no, you're good. We can talk. We can talk afterwards. We don't have to
Okay.
do it right now. Yeah. So if that's the case, then maybe you'd want to read this after Stormlight just to like not. No, I don't think that matters. I don't think it matters.
I don't think it
Yeah.
matters that much, but
Yeah.
if you haven't read Stormlight and want to fit in, 4 1,200 page books in a month, then go for it. But
Yeah, it doesn't. I feel like Stormlight for sure is one of these that before after doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But having read both of them, it's very enjoyable.
it would make, if you had read this before you started Stormlight and then you read Stormlight and you like read the prologue to Stormlight, you'd be like, what the heck? That's what my feeling would be. Also,
I think
yeah.
you should definitely read Stormlight before this. I will say. I feel like
Yeah.
there's some parts of Stormlight that would lose its air of mystery if you had read this first.
Totally agree. And you would also, okay, so here's the thing. If you like read the first 3 and you haven't read Rhythm of War for whatever reason, I would say that's like worth getting in the next month. If you haven't even like started Stormlight Archive, I don't see how you're reading 4 books in a month that are that size.
I say put off the Lost Metal till you read
You
Stormlight.
think so? Okay.
It's a better series, anyways.
Yeah, for sure. It is.
So,
but okay, all right. I could see that. But what if you're like just huge Mistborn? Like that would be hard to do if you're like a huge Mistborn fan and you're like, have been waiting for this for years. But
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Dang. Yeah. I didn't realize how so much of information is just readily given that.
Right. It would for sure change the way that you read Stormlight Archive if you read this before you
for
read
sure.
Sully.
What other, trying to think. Obviously there's implications for other things, but yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I don't think any of his other books really touch on this.
So the other one that I haven't read that is like alluded to in here is Aether of the Night.
Oh, but that's not canon, right?
That's not canon. It's but I'm just saying, if we're like digging the trenches of what
that
you
would
could
be
read.
good. Yeah, that could be fun to read beforehand.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet, but I think you have to like
Good call
email his team in order to get a copy of it. Is that still the case, or does he have it posted somewhere?
I'm not
I
sure.
think I have a copy of it. Maybe we'll try and get it on our Discord or something.
I would.
We'll talk. We'll check with his team, but I know that they were. I know, but I know that they were
pirating.
I'm not going to pirate
books.
I know that they were. Okay, I know that they were passing.
I'm
that's
just kidding.
like years ago that they were.
They were just handing
them out. So I think we can shoot an email and be like, hey, if people ask, can we give this to them? So, that's something that you might want to give a read. Maybe the guys. I think the guys at 17th Shard were also given permission to give those out. So we'll try and figure out a way to help people out on that. But that would be a fun one.
That's a good call.
I think that's about it. I mean, again, like in general, the entire Cosmere, like this is a very Cosmere aware book, and I'm sure we miss things. So this probably isn't a comprehensive guide, but also like
it's hard not to just say everything that has been published before this, read it,
and even unpublished books.
And even unpublished. Anything that is accessible before this comes out.
And honestly, some people on our Discord were like posting words of Brandon that I like happened to click on and read, and they were like really helpful in reading some of this.
those words of Brandon's though, those are more things that for sure can go after the fact. Don't feel like you need to be
For sure.
scouring. Like these are
yeah,
things like things will be left up to kind of your own I don't know, assumptions and inferences and like kind of what's the word I'm looking for? You'll be left to make your own conclusions, and then you can like scour the internet for confirmations or
yeah,
the opposites.
yeah.
Can't
Yeah.
think
I'm
right
not saying
now.
you have to go read all of words of
Yeah.
Brandon, but
Yeah.
it was just kind of fun to like see those
Yeah.
pop up. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just fun to see stuff that Sanderson said like 5 years ago that he's like paying off now. It's just cool, like
Yeah.
it's not something that you have to go drive yourself crazy over. But
Yeah.
anyway, anything else?
I
I
don't
really
know.
want to. I can't wait to
I'm
do the
having I'm
review
holding
of
my
this. But
yeah, I'm holding myself back really hard right now. So
all right,
yeah,
well,
get
that's it.
prepared.
Yeah. Hopefully you found some use of this. If you do want to talk to us in comments about this, be very, very careful about spoilers. Like just tab in a bunch. And if you want to like have a spoiler discussion, then join Discord and we can talk maybe a little bit more about it there. Like if you've managed to get an arc and want to talk about it with us. But let's try and keep this like super spoiler free in the comments is my
Yeah.
only
Yeah,
request.
for sure.
Yeah. All right.
Cool.
That's it. Thanks for joining us. And we will see you guys later.
Yeah. See you guys.